buy or sell, Gentry will finish the season as the top rookie fantasy running back. And I guess I would ask this question to you, George. Who the bleep is he competing with at this point? It is so ugly at running back in fantasy. RJ Harvey has done nothing. Omarion Hampton is hurt. Caleb Johnson, does anybody even know where that guy is? He doesn't even play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, what am I missing here? Oh, there's one. There's one that I'm missing. There's one that I'm missing.
I'll name that for you. I'll name the guy you didn't mention there. Well, Henderson's another guy, by the way. The New England Patriots don't trust, right? They don't play him. But the guy that could compete with Gentry, would be the name that you said you loved during preseason. You love this guy's name, Cam Scotabo, right? He'd be the guy. He's right there with them. The only problem for Cam would be, A, it is the Giants. Their schedule is brutal. And B, Tracy should return. So that's going to take away. Cam will be the starters. I think he will be. But Tracy's going to eat up some touches there. So that's my only issues there. But I think he's the guy who competes with Gentry for that number one overall role, which I'm shocked. I'm shocked that it's not Hampton, but he got hurt. Shocked that it's not Henderson, but they don't like him. Shocked whatever, RJ Harvey in Denver, whatever's going on here. Will he finish the season at his top? This is a little different when I say automatically take the field here because there's only one other guy. I'm going to buy this. Gentry's the best guy, but would I be surprised if it's Scotabo? No, I would not.
Yeah, I'm going to sell this for the guy that I just forgot about in Cam Scotabo. I guess the only concern that I would have, and it's a slight one, is that in a couple of weeks, Tyrone Tracy comes back.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
Time to rise and grind. And by the way, did you last time you check here? It's a hump day Wednesday, people. We're halfway to the weekend. We can watch college football. We can watch the NFL. Oh, wait. We can actually do that during the actual week itself. Our job today, as usual, 7 to 9 a.m., set the table for you for the rest of your SportsGrid day and make sure you understand what's going to happen tonight. A lot of NBA action. What happened last night? An NBA doubleheader. What a time, Joe. As we talk about repeatedly, like sometimes you shed some tears for baseball seasons and football seasons and basketball and hockey seasons are going to end. But the one thing we know on the calendar, something always opens up for us that we can enjoy. And the NBA is back in our lives. A doubleheader last night. We had all those games and more, Joe. The energy's got to be high. A new sport is back in our lives.
It's not just it's just the best time of year altogether, Donnie. In another couple of weeks, we'll welcome back college basketball. So the weekends from here on out, again, will never, ever, ever be the same.
And being a fan of the NBA, too. I don't like OKC, but I love ring night. I love the banner being raised. I love the kickoff of a new season. Joe, it's time to get caffeinated. The NBA is back in our lives.
Oh, Donnie, it so is. And we need to talk about last night because it was very, very unique. And it was a reminder, if you will, Donnie. Let's forget the X's and O's for a minute. Let's forget the bets for a minute. Last night wasn't about wins and losses, although we did happen to actually win our game with Kennesaw State, but that's for another time. It was about feeling something else. It was about a little nostalgia. It was about goosebumps. And it is exactly why, like you said, Donnie, this time of year is the absolute best in sports. And first off, the NBA returned to NBC. And hearing that theme music, seeing Mike Tirico back on the call, seeing Michael Jordan on the screen, it just felt right? Like an old friend that you haven't seen in decades that walks back into your life. I mean, seeing Jordan on the screen, I literally paused everything else that I had on just so I could listen to him talk. And I didn't care. He could have mumbled the entire way, Donnie. I wasn't leaving the screen. Just listening to him talk about anything was good enough for me. And it also felt like NBC actually gave a crap about the broadcast. And what a way to start. Because the Thunder and Rockets banner ceremony, KD back in town. And what did they deliver, Donnie? An absolute double overtime thriller classic that came down to the final 2 seconds. SGA doing MVP things, battling the franchise legend in Kevin Durant. Big shots, big swings, hilarious mistakes. I mean, it had everything that you would want to kick off the NBC season and the NBA. The ratings, if they keep doing this, Donnie, will go through the roof. But one thing did annoy me a little bit last night, although I was an emotional wreck too. If you watch Brad Marchand and the champion Florida Panthers, his first return back to the Boston Bruins there in the Boston Gardens, and boy, oh boy, it was unbelievable what that crowd there, that Bruins crowd gave him. The standing ovation, the tribute. But I wasn't crazy, Donnie, that they did it in the middle of the first period, because he was an emotional wreck from that point, and everyone started crying, including everybody in the stands, anybody watching. But ultimately, the Panthers prevailed. They ended up winning 4-3, but it is a good reminder. It's not always about the X's and O's and the wins and losses. In a world filled with negativity, sports can give us nights like last night, Donnie. We need to soak it in, people, because this time of year is the best time of year.
It is the best time of year. So also, yeah, Brad Marchand, can't stand the guy. You know, they should have beat him up on his home ice here. And then getting over to Jordan for you here. Everybody loves Michael Jordan on a pre-taped interview here with lies after lies. Mike, have you picked up a basketball? Haven't done it in years. Absolute lie. Mike, when's the last time you did pick up a basketball? Oh, at the Ryder Cup, a random kid threw me a basketball and I knocked down a jump shot. We don't need these lies from Jordan. I need Jordan live, Joe Neri. Why can't I get him live? Why can't we have him on the early line and we can ask about the state of the NBA and what he thought last night about SGA and that ring ceremony? What does he think about SGA chasing him down to get 7 rings here to surpass him with 6 rings? Why can't we get that? That's the info I want, Joe.
SGA, did you say to chase him down after he has 1?
Get 7 rings.
Okay, stop it.
Get 7.
Stop it. The reason I'll never be on the early line, Donnie, is because A, he doesn't have to, and B, we'd never be able to afford to get him on the early line. But hey, listen, we can all dream and we can all hope, but not Michael Jordan, man. The guy can do no wrong in my eyes.
Let's get over to the early line here, the hottest topics across the sports landscape. Woody Johnson. You know what? I can't stand Woody Johnson as an owner, but sometimes I do respect, like, what do you think about your Jets? You can't win when your quarterback stinks as bad as our quarterback does. I still trust the coach. Our quarterback just stinks. He is speaking our language, but ask me about this. Woody, you hired the people in place that said Justin Fields is going to be your franchise guy. So aren't you implicit as well at this point? At least Woody's speaking the truth now. Yeah, my quarterback stinks. Let's move on.
Well, listen, he says what everyone already knows, right? So, but kudos to him being upfront about it and being honest. Hey, listen, if we could complete a pass, we'd be all right. So it was actually refreshing that it wasn't the same old from these billionaire owners in the NFL. He said exactly what we all know to be true, and everyone in that organization knows to be true. It was more about, I think, him supporting Aaron Glenn than actually endorsing Justin Fields.
By the way, rivalries. I do like rivalries. It seems like we have one as a coach and an ex-quarterback here. These two guys didn't get along. And if you want to know what two guys they are, it's Russell Wilson and it's Sean Payton. Sean Payton actively saying, man, I can't believe we had to face this rookie quarterback. He's so much better than Russ. We hoped Russ would go out there and lay another stink bomb for an easy victory, but that wasn't the case. And then Russ fires back at a classless claim. It was a classless claim by Payton, but I love it. I love rivalries, and this seems like a good one.
Listen, at this point in your career, Russell, if you are you're getting that offended about what a coach who used to play for and couldn't deliver for has something to say, I love it too, Donnie. Trust me, unless he's playing you again for some reason, he's not going to utter your name again. I can assure you of that. So just check one into round 3 goes to Sean Payton.
No, it's great stuff here. Also, Carson Wentz going to get another start on Thursday Night Football. I actually like this. I didn't want the rookie to come in on that short work week with a banged up ankle. So I'm looking at some points in this game, because one thing we know about Wentz, he'll throw for a lot of yards. He'll throw for a couple interceptions, Joe. Wentz back in the starting lineup.
Yeah. Again, that's why he went out and got him, right? Because it feels like they're taking their time with J.J. McCarthy. Whether he would be able to go or not, it feels like they're in no rush to get him back. And maybe, just maybe, that's the right thing to do.
Absolutely it is. And also keep it moving with SGA in the NBA back. Got his ring last night, got a victory, and he's not allowed to score more than 35 points, and he held that true last night with exactly 35 points in a 1-point double overtime win over the Houston Rockets.
The game was unbelievable. I mean, give us more of that, NBA. Forget about load management. Whenever you're going to turn the lights and the cameras on in prime time, make sure you give us the game's best players doing exactly that last night, and we will watch and watch again.
Luka's really good. 43 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, and a block, only 3 turnovers, despite playing 41 minutes. A 10-point loss for the Los Angeles Lakers. Get used to it on a night-to-night basis here. It's Luka Doncic, a little of Austin Reeves, and nothing else. A 10-point victory from the favorite Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, what was he, 2 of 10 or 3 of 10 from 3, too? Like, what kind of night would it have been if he actually hit a few threes as well there, Donnie? But get used to it. It's same old Lakers, no defense, and one superstar that carries the load.
Perry Manesian picked you as your new coach or slash bench coach slash manager, Major League Baseball. That means I probably don't like the decision. Kurt Suzuki's a pretty good guy from what I hear, but I don't think anybody's winning in L.A. at this point right now. Suzuki, congratulations. You'll be fired in 2 years.
Yeah, and I bet you he took the job for less money than Poulos wanted, which is why he's the manager.
That's a good point. Now, that is a salient point from Joe Ranieri right there. So we have him getting fired and making less money, but hey, it is what it is. And Adam Silver, we need to expound more on this, Joe. I know we're running out of time here, but he's talking about the WNBA. I don't care about it. I don't need to see Adam Silver talking to the crowd in OKC, which nobody wants to hear from, and also dapping up the players, getting their rings on ring night. Did he win the ring? What is he doing there? Get out of the way and let the home team enjoy what they want to enjoy. That's a banner ceremony. 4 topics, including Spreadlines next.
The best part about it is that they're just going about handling their business. I was listening to Arvell Reese and his literally like 5-word sentences about himself and some of the things that Caleb has been talking about. The dudes are just so locked in here about just doing their job and not worrying about all the other things and awards. They know all those happen when you go win and you win decisively.
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Baker Mayfield is the most important player on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they are in first place right now, looking dead in the eye of home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They played a bad division. They're going to win a lot of games, and they're the best fourth quarter team, or at least the 2-minute warning team in all football. So, don't sleep on that.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Awesome and monumentous win against Oregon. Texas has saved their season. Texas has given themselves life to potentially crash the college football playoff party. For OU, a loss to Texas shouldn't be the end of your season. And yet with that remaining schedule, it feels like it could be. Books certainly pricing it that way. A lot of movement off of the Red River rivalry.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Paige or Caitlin? Who do you take and why?
I think for the WNBA, in a sense where they're moving toward more guards when it's been very post and big heavy in the past. But there's a reason why Caitlin Clark set all those records at college and then went into the WNBA and set all those records immediately. I really do think she's just a different level talent.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to recap those NBA games and also a full slate of NBA action. Absolutely love to see it. Boy, you don't waste any time. It's like they play one game in the NBA, take 4 days off before we get started. Everything in full swing, and a great night for the NBA last night. But it's time, Joe, to hit those spread lines that we love. We take the headlines and the spreads and tell you why you need to be paying attention to a certain game. And it doesn't have to be the game of the week in college, the game of the week in the NBA or the NFL. There's information that you need to know, Joe, and this one starts on Thursday night. South Alabama, Georgia State. Yeah, I said it here. Opened up 4.5. Line now close to a touchdown. Has a 6.5-point favorite for South Alabama. Total this game between South Alabama and Georgia State is 56.5 to 55.5, depending on where you're shopping at. Joe, what's the spread line for this college football game Thursday night?
Well, the reason we included this one, Donnie, is because yesterday something very interesting happened right around lunchtime, is that the board lit up with action and steam coming in on the total in this game, which is interesting because it got up as high as 57.5 at one point yesterday. And then all of a sudden the buyback began to come. And then all of a sudden we were back down to 55.5, ultimately where it is right now. So my question is, we're talking about a standalone Thursday night game here, Donnie, in which we have two of the worst football teams in the country, 2 wins and 12 losses combined. They rank 96th and 102nd, respectively, in yards per play on offense. And we are steaming the total there's no tomorrow and then buying it back. This is shaping up to be a classic head fake where a syndicate or influential bettors push this thing all the way up to get it to a certain number, and then all of a sudden they want to buy back looking for either some sort of middle or artificially inflate the number. That's the only reason I can come up with why anybody would want a total in this game here with two teams that can't move the ball at all. Keep an eye on this one, Donnie.
They said it would be easy, like, hey, Georgia State, just get football. Eventually, we're in the Atlanta area. We'll be able to rival Georgia and Athens. That hasn't worked out all that great for Georgia State at this point right now. Next game up on the docket, Joe, Saturday afternoon, 3:30. We'll take a trip down to the ACC. That's NC State and Pittsburgh. This line opened up around 6.5, still sitting in that touchdown range, Joe. But the move that has been made is on the over, 52.5, 53.5. Now we're seeing 56.5. You see NC State at 4-3, Pitt at 5-2. The ACC, Joe. What's the spread line for this game?
One thing that we have noticed this college football season, Donnie, is not so much with the sides and the spreads, but these totals have been opening. There's a handful each week where, just like this game, Donnie, where we saw 53.5 as the opening total, and then all of a sudden just got absolutely crushed up and moved to 58.5. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, right? Like, how can they be that far off on these totals? But now we're hovering right around a touchdown. There has been a ton of money coming in on Pitt in this game, the home favorite by a touchdown. If this drops under a touchdown, I'm good. If it stays over a touchdown, I am not. But it's the total. Now that the limits are going to move starting tomorrow, Donnie, I want to see where this total goes. Was it bet up artificially to come back and bet down, or is this thing going to keep rising before kickoff?
Winners of 4 of 5 games, Joe. You say, yeah, it's probably what the Buffalo Bills are doing. No! How about the Carolina Panthers here cruising? By the way, just taking a look here, Joe, I see wins against the Falcons, the Dolphins, the Cowboys, and the New York Jets. My goodness, Dave Canales, what have you started down there? They're going to take on, however, the Buffalo Bills this weekend at home, catching more than a touchdown at most outlets here in a total of around 46.5. The Red Rifle back there, Andy Dalton, the Ginger Ninja, as they call him, will be under center, taking on Josh Allen. What's the spread line for this game for you, Joe?
Well, it's funny, Donnie, because this total, the spread really hasn't done a whole lot, and yet we learned yesterday that, in fact, it's not going to be Bryce Young. It's going to be Andy Dalton. So you're telling me the market believes there is absolutely no difference between Bryce Young and Andy Dalton in this spot here? So the backup quarterback comes in, Donnie, and nobody's running to the window to fade him and back Buffalo. I think that's very telling. And I'm wondering if there is a lot of money sitting on the sidelines that may come back in here a little bit closer to kickoff. But as of now, apparently the market believes there's no difference between Bryce Young and Andy Dalton.
By the way, can we get that graphic back up on the screen there for that game? I just want to see those two quarterbacks. Is that actually Andy Dalton to the right? It's great. Or is that Sam Darnold? Who is that? Is that Andy Dalton?
That could be a Sam Darnold. Back up either way.
Like, no. And the reason I brought that up is they must look similar in their helmets there at that point, too. So there you go. Interchanging parts. Andy Dalton's going to be the starter, and away we go. Maybe a new starter is needed for the Tennessee Titans. I don't know. Is Cam Ward lost? Is that organization in the toilet right now? The one thing we do know is the Colts are really good with Daniel Jones. 14 and a half points good here as a favorite over the Tennessee Titans in a total of 47. Is this game destruction, terror, and mayhem for the Titans here, Joe? What's your spread line?
Well, this is crazy, Donnie. The entire week of the NFL season this week, here we are in week 8. We saw this early, too. 9 of the 13 games have spreads of 6 or more for teams. This is the haves and have not. And here we are, Donnie, entering week 8, and already 9 of the 13 games you're telling me are separated by at least a touchdown or more. It's kind of crazy. And this one is the biggest one on the board here. And somebody tell me, when do the Colts actually get to play a real team here, Donnie? This is going to be interesting here because I don't see any money coming back in on the Titans. But if it gets over 2 touchdowns, oh boy, it's going to be one of those. Got to play it, Donnie. I mean, at a principle, you're going to have to lay it.
Smack down here, the Colts. Colts are a juggernaut with Steichen right here. Let's take a look at Friday night Major League Baseball game number 1 of the World Series, Joe. The Dodgers are a favorite. They're on the road. They're always a favorite. Blake Snell's going game number 1. His ERA in the postseason, it's a .86, Joe. What is your spread line here for the Dodgers and Toronto?
Well, I mean, keep an eye on the series price right now. Dodgers minus 220, I was wondering if maybe Toronto winning the way they won got a little more public support, and I believe it will, Donnie. I think if you favor Toronto at home with the Dodgers on the series price, you can make some money here in this series.
Look, I think we might get a fun series here. That's what I'm hoping for here. Not the Dodgers giving up 2 hits a game and winning easily at this point. That's not what we want. You know what we want, Philly? Brandon Graham. He's back, people. Woo!
The best part about it is that they're just going about handling their business. I was listening to Arvell Reese and his literally like 5-word sentences about himself and some of the things that Caleb has been talking about. The dudes are just so locked in here about just doing their job and not worrying about all of the other things and awards. They know all those happen when you go win and you win decisively.
The Bobby Carpenter Show, only on SportsGrid.
Baker Mayfield is the most important player on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they are in first place right now, looking dead in the eye of home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They played a bad division. They're going to win a lot of games, and they're the best fourth-quarter team, or at least a 2-minute warning team in all football. So, don't sleep on that.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Awesome and monumentous win against Oregon. Texas has saved their season. Texas has given themselves life to potentially crash the college football playoff party. For OU, a loss to Texas shouldn't be the end of your season. And yet with that remaining schedule, it feels like it could be. Books certainly pricing it that way. A lot of movement off of the Red River rivalry.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Paige or Caitlin? Who do you take and why?
I think for the WNBA, in a sense where they're moving toward more guards when it's been very post and big heavy in the past. But there's a reason why Caitlin Clark set all those records at college and then went into the WNBA and set all those records immediately. I really do think she's just a different level talent.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
When you have success, it's usually fun, whether it's a player, a fan, and or an owner. Like, you want to walk into that room like, yeah, I'm an Eagles fan. You see these 2 rings we got the past 10 years? That's how you get down to business. But when you're a Jets fan, you can't walk into the room and say, hey, man, I'm a Jets fan. Like, that's the response you get. Or, hey, that's Woody Johnson over there, the owner of the Jets. Oh, my God. Sell the team, Woody. The reason I bring this up here, Joe, let me ask you a quick question. How many wins do the Jets have this year?
None.
Exactly. They got no wins here. So here's Woody Johnson in front of a microphone saying, like, hey, Woody, why don't you have 0 wins? What's the reasoning behind it? He'll tell you right now.
What's your confidence level in Aaron to turn it around?
Well, it looks like he's turning around parts of it. You know, it's hard when you have a quarterback with, with a rating that we've got. You know, he has the ability, but something just is not jiving. But if you look at any head coach with a quarterback like that, you're going to see similar results if you go across the league. You have to play consistently with, at that position, and that's what we're going to try to do for the remainder of the season.
So what gives you hope then? Just to give hope.
I just think defense, special teams are doing better. The defense is pretty good, and if we can just complete a pass, it would look good. We got to complete some passes. You got to convince them that you can do something. Otherwise, it's hard to have a game that you can win.
Do you still believe in the decisions that you made for
I
putting
do.
who?
I think Aaron. I do believe in Aaron. I've known Aaron for, since 1996. I was a fan. I've always been a fan of him. I see the way he handles a room. If I were a player, I would respond to him because he's the real deal. He's no BS. There's no second agendas. What you're hearing is the truth, and a lot of times players don't get the truth. They get a lot of gobbledygook.
Now, if Woody Johnson is backing you and that's who you picked, it's probably going to be a failed resistance. There's one thing to be said, Joe, but hey, you know what, man? I was real poor as a kid. I grew up, pulled up my bootstraps here. I'm a billionaire now. I understand how this stuff works. But when, 3 of your great-great-grandfathers or whatever, Robert Wood Johnson, James Wood Johnson, Edward Mean Johnson, founded Johnson & Johnson, and you get that in your lap and all that money, you go out and buy an organization, and you've been an absolutely horrendous owner. But as I say this time and time again, Joe, it does not matter. If you're an NFL owner, you can have an 0-7 team, be the laughing stock of the nation in your respective sport, and still you print money and your organization gains wealth year over year over year. It's a shame for Jets fans here, but at least I hear him speaking honestly. But at the same time, he's not talking as a fan. He owns the team. He's the one who makes the decisions, whether you like it or not. Who's my head coach? Who's my general manager? Hey, by the way, we're going to spend a lot of money on this quarterback. Awesome. Justin Fields is your guy. Sign him. Now to sit back like, yeah, he stinks. No, you stink as an owner. How about that, Joe?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think we all know that. But, I mean, listen, they're not firing Aaron Glenn. They're not going to fire him now. They're not going to fire him at the end of the season. I mean, you've got to give him and the general manager a chance to get the kinds of guys that they envision and building that locker room up, right? And we all kind of knew, like, we all said it, Donnie, Jet fan or not, when they were like, well, Fields is our quarterback. We were like, all right, maybe we'll see. But I think obviously we are 7 weeks without a win. We haven't scored a touchdown, by the way, I don't think, since that blowout loss to the Cowboys in week 5. So we just can't seem to find the end zone here, Donnie. And we won't, whether it's Tyrod or it's Justin Fields. And quite honestly, this is all about next year with the Jets. He knows it, the owner knows it, and everybody else knows it at this point as well.
It's the way they just live in a different, realm as us. Like if you were 0-7 in the business world, you'd be out of business and filing for bankruptcy. You're 0-7 in New York. And quite frankly, it feels like they're 0-7 every year in New York. It doesn't matter. You sell at the stadium, you have the marketing rights, and your absolute ownership of the team goes higher and higher every year with equity. It's crazy how it works out. It's just the way it is. Equity in Philadelphia. That's punched with tickets to Super Bowls here. That's what Brandon Graham's been known to do. He's coming off the couch to help the Eagles because they have like 2 healthy defensive ends. He could play this week against the New York Giants. BG is back. By the way, 16 years as a non-quarterback or non-kicker in the NFL, that's ridiculous, and he's going to do it.
It's hysterical, Donnie, because we just signed a guy coming out of retirement because we had a guy that we signed that suddenly retired just a couple of weeks ago in Zadarius Smith. So it was just a retirement train, I guess, we're going for.
By the way, also, Zadarius Smith, he couldn't have gotten like a thank you from the Philadelphia Eagles. Like they left him high and dry. Like they probably printed a statement like, I can't believe you did this to us. The NBA is back in our lives. Next, people.
sometimes your offense can benefit your defense.
Yeah.
They are going to need to sustain drives, I believe. They can't go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and all of a sudden Price and Jeremiah Love are ripping your defense for 5 and 8 yards per carry. Otherwise, it's going to be a long day. So we'll see how this game plays out. I do favor the rushing attack and physicality of Notre Dame. The way they're running the football right now is as good as anybody.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I think I just smiled for the first time in relation to this game.
Yeah, my misery, right? My misery cost you a smile.
That was the price.
This game is like watching paint dry. I mean, 21-0 in the first half. We have no action in the second. Brian Thomas, glass house. The guy can't stay on the field. His stone hands today.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
You don't worry, too much. I don't think Kendrick Bourne is a bad play. He's probably a good streamer, but I don't think he's going to get you 10 for 140 again. And he got you 10 for 140 again. And now he gets Mac Jones again this week playing quarterback. And Mac Jones has just found this connection. Now, you do have a returning George Kittle. That's going to put a wrinkle in this offense. Eventually, you should get a returning Brock Purdy. So Bourne's value is at its zenith. That's when you try to sell guys off.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
After the first week of football, who'd have thought Alabama would be right back on the top? After a couple losses, Texas would have a chance to be back where they are. And we've all kind of watched Texas A&M and Ole Miss kind of jump right in the hunt. And, that Texas A&M's kind of become my dark horse because they can beat you offensively and they can beat you defensively.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
By the way, we are going to get to the NBA in this segment here, but just some fun topics in the NFL, which includes rivalries. Usually it's one player yelling at another player. They're going to meet on the field on Sunday, and away you go, and you can settle your differences. Well, the differences weren't really settled because Russell Wilson didn't really like Sean Payton, and Sean Payton went the most to say, you know what? I don't care about the NFL Players Association. Sign this paper right here because I want you to make less money, and I will bench you. The union stepped in, weren't able to do it. It was an unceremoniously get the heck out of town. We don't care how much we have to pay you to go away. And Russell Wilson went over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But understand this, that post-game press conference from Sean Payton was interesting because he was throwing a lot of shade saying, basically, man, you put Jackson Dart in there. I was hoping you had the other guy in there because this guy gave him a spark and the other guy was basically a dud, only to have Russell Wilson fire back with a response on X, classless. But not surprised. Didn't realize you're still bounty hunting 15 plus years later through the media. Let's ride. This is the media exchange we didn't know we needed, Joe, between Russ and also Sean Payton.
Yeah, outstanding. But it's so funny because the level of, talk between these two teams leading into this game was kind of over the top. I mean, you would think like there's some sort of crazy rivalry between the Giants and the Broncos because the trash talking on social media between both these teams and including the coach now is just, it's over the top, but it's all good. Listen, it's entertainment at the end of the day. I'm not quite sure why bounty hunting, like you have to play in order to be hunted, don't you, Russ? I'm just curious. Like you weren't sniffing the field, and I thought it was pretty slick the way Sean Payton kind of took the jab underneath it. Like, yeah, they got a spark from Jackson Dart there, kind of wishing it didn't happen until later in the game. But okay, he really wanted a shot at Russ, didn't he? My goodness,
he really did. That's good stuff. I'd like to hear that here. It's a shame they won't play each other, not in-division rivals, where you can hear about this like part number 2. Like back in the late 1980s, the Bounty Bowl between the Dallas Cowboys and the Bounty Bowl 2 between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. That was good stuff here, but maybe we have a modern-day bounty here between those two. Let's also take a look at some bounties which typically happen at MetLife. And no, there's not a lot of wins that happen at MetLife between the Giants and the New York Jets, but there are a lot of losses. That's particularly to players, man. You ask the players around the league, Joe, what's one of the worst surfaces to go to? It's MetLife. And quite frankly, putting in the lens of, once again, my Philadelphia fandom, 2 weeks ago on a Thursday night, they held players out. Why? Because of how bad the turf is at MetLife. Because a few years previous, too, I remember a meaningless game at the end of January before the Eagles got smacked by Tampa Bay in the playoffs. A.J. Brown played in that meaningless game, hurt his knee, was out for the rest of the season, which included that following week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But the NFL goes, what are you guys looking at? We got the data. MetLife's just fine.
Let me see if I understand this correctly. Are you laying the foundation for an excuse because of the field and the Eagle players not playing because of it, which is why you lost that game to the Giants? Is that it?
Of course.
Oh, so this game this week will decide whether or not that holds water, right? Is that it? Because if they go to Philly and lose. Okay, just want to make sure we were going there. What do you think the NFL is going to say? The NFL is not going to be like, you know what, guys, they're absolutely right. It's, we've been testing. We have no idea why it's so terrible. We can't help it. But good luck, guys. We'll see you here. It's maybe the most non-story, which cracks me up, is if you think the NFL is going to unload on, yeah, we've done the testing. They're right. We got to blow it up and start from scratch. Ain't ever going to happen.
Why not? Why not, Joe? Do you remember 1983 where the NFL was like, hey, concussions are a serious issue right now that we have to get a hold of? No, they wait and goes, we're going to make $10 billion. We might have to pay out $1 billion about 20 years later, but that's a pretty good profit of $900 million that we can sit on here and wait for that to come out. Yeah, the NFL is never going to give you the road sake. You know what? They're right. Every time you go on turf, you risk the end of your career, opening themselves up to billions of dollars in lawsuits here. It's never, ever going to happen. But you know what is going to happen Thursday night? Carson Wentz, baby. Back in the saddle, because JJ, understand this, Joe. Is JJ, are we hiding JJ McCarthy here? I'm being honest right now. Are we hiding him a little bit? Because I've never seen a high ankle sprain at the quarterback position, which you can gut out that ankle injury. We've seen Patrick Mahomes play on one of those ankle injuries the very next week, including the Super Bowl, and still be running wild. Are we hiding this guy, JJ McCarthy? Like, sit him out over here a little bit, because Wentz is getting another start. I can't believe this kid isn't chomping at the bit to get in there, and they won't let him in.
They won't. I mean, listen, I'll give O'Connell the benefit of doubt, because he said, listen, if this was a Sunday game, we'd be having a different conversation. Because it's a short week and he hasn't played, it probably makes more sense for McCarthy to want to come back with extra time to prepare to get there. In the meantime, the way they've been protecting the quarterback, I wouldn't be in a rush if I was McCarthy either. At least get your running back, Aaron Jones, back, right? I mean, he's finally eligible to come back. Get some running game going before you throw your basically rookie quarterback to the Wolves there again.
That's a good point, too. They should be getting him back for a Thursday Night Football, which could add an extra dimension, which they do like. They need another victory. Maybe they can pick one up here, and it makes some sense. Injury information around the NFL. Nico Collins, on an offense that can't afford too many more injuries, is probably down this week with a concussion that he suffered on Monday Night Football. Who the heck is C.J. Stroud throwing the football to? They got no running backs, a decent tight end, no wide receivers now. Not looking good for the Texans. Maybe it's just one of those years where you just aren't going to be able to compete because you just can't stay healthy.
There's a lot going on behind the scenes. I mean, already, you've got the head coach there of the Texans saying that, no, they're not planning on making any changes to the, the offensive side, or it's just built terribly. I mean, you've got a top 5 defense, and you spent absolutely no money or any time in the offseason trying to build up the offensive line to protect your franchise quarterback. They've done none of that here, Donnie, and you can't be shocked. New OC or no OC, you can't protect the quarterback. It's a mess right now with the Texans.
Like, it almost should have been the opposite, right? Like, you have your young franchise quarterback. What do you need to do? Get him weapons. You got him Nico Collins. You got a couple good wide receivers. Protect him in the offensive line. Build the defense later. Get some linebackers, DBs late in the draft. Maybe one or two works out. You sign him in free agency. But the fact that you're like, let's trade away one of our best offensive linemen before the season starts, and that's going to work miracles. Doesn't work any miracles here. They look absolutely terrible. Miracles last night, Joe. The NBA's back on our lives. Almost had a miracle there for the Rockets. And Kevin Durant says to himself, man, I might have blew that game. Could have made a free throw here. Maybe I'm not fouling late in the game. 125-124. The underdog does cover with the Rockets as we send ourselves off on the 2025-2026 NBA season. A barn burner. Game number 1. Love to see that, Joe.
It was a great and absolutely fantastic way to bring back the NBA in prime time the way they go. And I'm telling you, Donnie, the only thing I hope for is that if you're going to give us these prime time games, right, on NBC, and this is what then please make sure that the level and the amount of stars that played in this game are exactly what we get. I don't care what you want to do, and on a Sunday at 3:00 in the afternoon, great, whatever. But primetime games, make sure you give us exactly what we got last night.
And Joe, the point hits home. It's opening night, so nobody's on load management. It's a doubleheader, a double overtime game. Şengün drops 39 points. He almost plays 50 minutes in that game. Kevin Durant, old man walking, 47 minutes. Why? Because they're fresh. In the NBA, you play 82 games, and I understand you're never going to cut that back because you want the money here. But the fact that you play so many games on back-to-backs, this is why we love the NBA. This is why we watch the NBA. Big game, big superstars, big hype, and it delivers. Quite frankly, even if the game didn't deliver a double overtime, we were still watching because the excitement of a new season and everybody is playing. Like, fast forward this basketball game, Joe, to let's just say late December. Ooh, Durant's on a back-to-back. He's not going to play. Şengün, a little bit of arthritis there in his ankle. He's going to sit this out. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played 2 out of 3 games here, so he needs a night off. You're so right. Like, even with the scores that we bring up in the games that we watch, Joe, we don't worry about this in other sports, but we worry about in the NBA. Can you imagine if the NBA cut down to 50 games here and you had a maximum of 2 games a week and never had a back-to-back? The excitement that would bring, Joe? Amazing.
Again, you know the schedule ahead of time. Then, get your load management centered around making sure the best players are available on the biggest stages, okay? Tuesday night at 7:00, you want to rest? Nobody cares. Not on Saturday night.
Come on, man. Let's get it together. Warriors, Lakers next. 10-point victory? Let's cover that game next. The NBA, it's back, baby!
And sometimes your offense can benefit your defense.
Yeah.
They are going to need to sustain drives, I believe. They can't go 3 and out, and all of a sudden Price and Jeremiah Love are ripping your defense for 5 and 8 yards per carry. Otherwise, it's going to be a long day. So we'll see how this game plays out. I do favor the rushing attack and physicality of Notre Dame. The way they're running the football right now is as good as anybody.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I think I just smiled for the first time in relation to this game.
Yeah, my misery, right? My misery cost you a smile.
That was the price to pay.
This game is like watching paint dry. I mean, 21-0 in the first half. We have no action in the second. Brian Thomas, glass house. The guy can't stay on the field. There's stone hands today.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
You don't worry, too much. I don't think Kendrick Bourne is a bad play. He's probably a good streamer, but I don't think he's going to get you 10 for 140 again. And he got you 10 for 140 again. And now he gets Mac Jones again this week playing quarterback. And Mac Jones has just found this connection. Now, you do have a returning George Kittle. That's going to put a wrinkle in this offense. Eventually, you should get a returning Brock Purdy. So Bourne's value is at its zenith. That's when you try to sell guys off.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
After the first week of football, who'd have thought Alabama would be right back on the top? After a couple losses, Texas would have a chance to be back where they are. And we've all kind of watched Texas A&M and Ole Miss kind of jump right in the hunt. And, that Texas A&M's kind of become my dark horse because they can beat you offensively and they can beat you defensively.
The Bowden Blitz, only on SportsGrid.
Line movement. You get that in the NBA, specifically on opening night. Look-ahead line, which was out for quite some time here between the Warriors and the Lakers. Had the Lakers as a favorite, but no LeBron James switched it over to the Golden State Warriors, and the odds makers were correct in doing that. A 119-109 finish. The Golden State Warriors were the victors. And also understand this. The acquisition of Jimmy Butler, since the Warriors got him, when he's in that starting lineup with the rest of the fellas, they're a really good basketball team. 35 minutes last night for Jimmy Butler, 7 of 14 from the floor, 16 of 16 from the free throw line, 31 points and a plus 20 last night. Jimmy Butler and the boys go on the road to Tinseltown and knock down the Lakers by double digits.
Yeah, so the big question with the Lakers is always going to be, okay, well, you didn't get better defensively in the offseason by any stretch, because we know LeBron ain't going to play defense when he comes back. We know Luka ain't going to play defense. So what is it? Gabe Vincent? Like, who are you going to rely upon? Austin Reeves was in foul trouble from the get-go for the Lakers, and it became the Luka Doncic show. Listen, we saw that in Dallas, except Dallas eventually built a team that, yeah, all the guys around Luka would play some defense. They were long, they were athletic, young guys willing to sacrifice. That's not what you got with the Lakers. And now you've got a very old team in Golden State. But when you got Jimmy Butler going 16 for 16 at the free throw line, and Steph Curry's like, I'm just going to play, assist here. I'm going to dish to you. They're hitting threes from all over the place. If Steph Curry doesn't need to be that guy, then this is, once again, a very dangerous team.
Yeah, let me ask you a question, too, because the Golden State Warriors and even the pregame hype was like, dude, these guys are old. They're going to take a lot of rest during the regular season, which we just talked about hating that. Like, okay, these guys need more rest because you got to save them for the playoffs when they get there. What is the makeup of the Los Angeles Lakers? Because I think everybody can recognize, like, LeBron James is still a quality NBA player, but how many games are you going to have him for? Like, if this is your core that you saw last night, and yes, Golden State's a decent basketball team, but doesn't it feel like, Luka, go out there and get a 50-point triple-double, otherwise we have no chance at winning basketball games?
Yeah, here it is last night, right? Austin Reeves, he was minus 14 when they were on the court, okay? But the problem is, outside of Luka Doncic, he is the only reliable scorer, but he is an absolute liability defensively when he's on the court. So Marcus Smart was the one bright spot. If he can stay healthy, Marcus Smart, we know he'll play defense, but he's not going to contribute enough offensively. He can't be out there playing 28, 30 minutes a night. This team it's Luka Doncic or bust here moving forward.
2 games down, hundreds of games to go in the NBA, which does start tonight with a packed slate here. You love to see it. Some pretty good matchups, Joe. How about the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Garden tonight to take on the New York Knicks? I have an opening line that was minus 3.5 towards the New York Knicks, Joe. Now I see across the board Cleveland Cavaliers as minus 1.5 point favorites in a total that sits around 227.5. The Garden party starts tonight. The Knicks are an underdog. Are you taking them as a slight home dog tonight, Joe?
Well, these are the 2 favorites in the East, right? So this is a fantastic matchup, one in which we had a chance to see, right, last year, which is pretty interesting. And again, I get why you want to the Knicks opened up as the favorite at home in the Garden, but there has been, I'm with you, Donnie, over the last 48 hours, there has been nothing but Cavs money hitting the marketplace in this spot. This is going to be interesting. I mean, Mike Brown now, we know how much he loves to play defense. We know that you ain't scoring in the paint against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I think this is going to be a very interesting game, one in which I don't want to be sweating out an over because I don't know how many points we're getting in this one tonight.
Estimated starting lineup tonight for the Knicks: Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, Gershon Yabusele, and Karl Anthony Towns. By the way, the Cavaliers with an estimated starting lineup that includes Lonzo Ball out there. Good times in the NBA. It's back, which includes the Battle of the State of Florida, the Miami Heat, and the Orlando Magic tonight. How about the Magic? 8 to 8.5 point favorite, depending where you're shopping at, and a low total, which is typical of Magic games, at 216. But that's up from 212 on that early number. Orlando at home against the Miami Heat, Joe. How about that?
Well, Donnie, I'll tell you this. I mean, it was a clear decision by Orlando in the offseason to try and increase the shooting. That's why they went out and traded for Desmond Bane and gave him $125 million for Memphis, right? They need somebody that can complement and stretch the floor here for Banchero and Wagner here. They just can't be the I'm going to shut you down defense. Yet that's only going to take you so far. They still have that ability here. And we know Miami is always about defense. They are not going to want to get into a shootout. They don't have Tyler Hero. He got hurt a couple of weeks ago. So they've got a lot of young pieces. But this game, to me, is going to be an absolute rock fight. The total is what now? 2-7. How are we getting that many points? Miami is going to drag this game into the mud. Orlando is going to be more than happy to go there with them. Yeah, I think this is a dead under here tonight.
7:30 in another Garden tonight. That's the Boston Garden. The Philadelphia 76ers on the road against their rival, the Boston Celtics. Look at this line here, Joe. -2 to -2.5, depending where you're shopping for the Boston Celtics. A total listed at 227.5. Estimated starting lineup tonight for the Philadelphia 76ers: Maxey, Edgecombe, Grimes, Oubre, and how about this? Joel Embiid. See, here's the crazy thing. We had, Mr. Kaufman, as I like to say, on yesterday to talk to us about a little of that Boston landscape yesterday. Look at the starting lineup anticipated tonight for the Boston Celtics: Pritchard, White, Brown, Hauser, and Cada. And the Celtics are a favorite. And you know what? I think the Celtics should be a favorite tonight with that starting lineup. Tough times here this season. Maybe for both of these ball clubs?
Right. Well, again, one of the greatest teams on paper are these Philadelphia 76ers, and yet we are very rarely, and have to this point, Donnie, seen how good this team could be. They look great on paper, but the fact that you got Embiid starting is a good sign. But now you got to get Paul George back after the knee surgery. You got to get him in there. You got to figure some things out here, Philly. They have the talent, Donnie. Whether or not they put it together or they all stay healthy, totally different ball game here.
Let's squeeze a quick one in. The Pels and the Grizzlies, a 4.5-point favorite at home for the Grizzlies, and a total of 236.5, which is a nice total here. We had that question yesterday. How well is Zion going to play? And also, is he going to be a Pelican by the end of the year? The Pels on the road catching points, Joe.
Yeah, they are. I mean, he is a wrecking ball, but, Morant and company with the Grizz should be able to handle business easily in this one.
Game 1, Friday night of the World Series, the Dodgers and Toronto from the 6th. Let's get an early preview on that game next.
That Patrick Mahomes era, I'm not going to say it's coming to the end, but we've seen it slipping for the last 3 seasons. Even when they won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago against the 49ers, they shouldn't have even made the playoffs according to the metrics that year. And I think they're continuing to decline a little bit. And I'm not ready to go get all excited because they beat the Lions. Hey, they also lost to the Jaguars.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Great quarterback, the best quarterback in football. But when you play a 60-minute game of football on national TV and the referees do not call a single penalty against you when you committed 13 penalties the week before in a nationally televised loss, I'm sorry, but the jig is up.
The Craig Carden Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Better bets, $90,000, FanDuel, New Jersey, LA. Oh, it must be some sharp hockey better. Yeah, or a rich kid with nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is funny. God rest his soul, Dave Sheriff always used to say, if he told me this one time, Gabe, he told me 1,000. It's not how much someone bets that moves line, it's who's betting.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Paige or Caitlin? Who do you take and why?
I think for the WNBA, in a sense where they're moving toward more guards when it's been very post and big heavy in the past. But there's a reason why Caitlin Clark set all those records at college and then went into the WNBA and set all those records immediately. I really do think she's just a different level talent.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
World Series taking a little bit of time off, I guess, to garner that hype. And let me ask you this question, Joe Ranier, as we talk here on a Wednesday Hump Day Radio on the SportsGrid Network. Do we like the off time? Or do we figure that we should have a floating date when we start championships? Because correct me if I'm wrong, was it the NBA last year that took like 6 or 7 days off before their first game here, completely killing the momentum? Like, I don't need it the next day. I don't even need it 2 days. But if we end the series, let's just say over the weekend, like, I got to have my action here within 3 to 4 days here, Joe. I don't like the wait, to be honest. Are you okay with the wait and understand it? Or should this not be a static date that they put in regardless of when the two teams finish up?
Listen, I don't mind it. It gives you time to exhale a little bit, Donnie, breathe, enjoy some of the finer things here, because once it starts, it's just going to be nonstop. You and I both know that it's going to be all consuming.
All consuming starting Friday night, 8 p.m. from Toronto. That's the Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays here. The opening line, Joe, at least in FanDuel, is minus 148 price. Now we're seeing this price point in the mid-150s, depending on where you're shopping at. I have DraftKings 157, BetMGM 150, Bet365 150 here. In a total, that's 7.5 across the board. We don't know who the Blue Jays are sending out as game one starter, but Blake Snell, who's been absolutely filthy, on full rest, will be the starter for the Dodgers in game number one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's the way this is shaped up and turned out. And we knew that the Dodgers were going to be able to set up their rotation any which way they want. And quite honestly, it's not like they can go wrong with whoever they decide to throw out there in these two away games. But I think we've all come to the realization that if there is one team, and these were, by the way, both teams had top 5 offenses during the regular season. And when you're a Blue Jays team that hits nearly 300 in the postseason and cuts down on their strikeouts, they're going to put a lot of balls in play. Milwaukee couldn't do that. I think the Blue Jays have a legit shot here. I think the big advantage for the Dodgers, we know, is starting pitching. So can that lineup get to the starting pitching and crack the Rubik's Cube? If they can, this is going to be a fun series here, Donnie.
Yeah, maybe Bichette sneaks back into that lineup. It's a very good hitting lineup for Toronto. And sometimes, Joe, we talk about, ebbs and flows and, coming back to the mean at this point, attrition, whatever you want to call it. You can't be this good as a starting pitching staff all the way through. Because understand this, you might have a pretty good stretch in the summer because you played 3 straight really bad organizations that don't really have much at the play. Like, we just lined up against, the White Sox, and then we played the Pittsburgh Pirates, and we dominated. Our starting staff was fantastic. Sooner than later, that good talent in your hitting lineup is going to catch up. Like, I don't think anybody's anticipation is, by the way, the Dodgers sweep this series and they gave up 1 run on average games 1 through 4 and only 6 combined hits in those 4 games. Like, sooner than later, something has to give. And sometimes it's just maybe the break of the momentum where in baseball, you are creatures of habit. You want to play every day. You want to be on your normal 4 to 5 day shift here as a starting pitcher in the bullpen. You get the picture at this point. So I look at it saying, it's a 7-game series. It's not a must-win for either team in games 1 necessarily, or even games number 2. We just found that out in the ALCS where games 1 and 2 went to Seattle, but who won that series? It was Toronto. Talk to me, Joe, about game number 1. It feels like if you're Toronto, you got to ambush Snell. You can't let him get into a rhythm. You got to be swinging. If that I want to take a pitch to get the game going. No, if that ball's over the plate, you got to wail away.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. And the interesting part about both these teams is that they both had issues on the road this year. They were much better at home hitting the ball than they were on the road. Now, the Dodgers didn't exactly crush the ball in that Brewers series either. They did just enough, Donnie, to be able to get the job done there against Milwaukee because, they knew Milwaukee couldn't generate any runs. That is not going to be the case here, I think, with the Toronto Blue Jays. They have to cut down on the strikeouts, and they have to put balls in play and make the Dodgers play some defense. If they can do that, I absolutely think they have a shot to win at least one of the first 2 games at home.
We need some mushes here to get in here to try to help this series out. And you got one already. That's Skip Bayless. Congratulations, he tweets, to the Toronto Blue Jays for winning the right to lose the World Series to the Los Angeles Dodgers. You know what else we need to see next? An account from a tweet from Stake that goes, Drake just put $1 million on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Even though we know he loves Toronto here, it looks like you got one guy trying to mush him. We need a couple more mushes to get a good series here, Joe.
Yeah, no, we do here. But to me, this is all going to be about holding serve. If I'm the Blue Jays, I need to win my games at home because it's a different animal on the road. So hopefully they get at least game 1 or game 2 here and go from there.
It's a 2-3-2 as we know it. We just saw that in the ALCS. Well, hey, they can lose their first 2 games and still win the series like they just did. You don't want to make a habit of going down 0-2 in a 7-game series and trying to come back. Dodgers, Toronto, Friday night. It's all going down. We'll be right back for hour number 2 of the early line.